Welcome back everyone to Pontos Fathom Hobbies. This is Season 5 of Eldritch Horror, and we'll be playing the dedicated Cities in Ruin expansion. So in the past we played it, but we didn't play the great old one that comes with Cities in Ruin, which is Shudmel. So we'll be playing Shudmel today. Cities in Ruin is a fantastic painting on the cover of this box. I keep all the small expansion box sets because the artwork is so great. But you can see some destruction of, it's like Istanbul being destroyed here. So the mechanism of this game, it says, the human age is ending. Violent quakes split the world asunder, and nature itself is seemingly intent on destroying the civilizations of humanity. Deep in the heart of Africa, something is stirring. So this expansion introduces Shudmel, a destructive new ancient one. Heralding the new threat is the advent of disasters and devastation encounters, as well as destructive new Mythos cards. 4 weary investigators join the fight, bringing with them new artifacts, assets, spells, and talents to stave off the twilight of humankind. So we'll be playing Shudmel, and we've already kind of gone ahead and set up most of the board. We've got our reserve cards, got the decks here, rule book aside. Quick shout out to our Cthulhu catalog of books from Pontos Fathom Press: Genealogy of Cthulhu, Archaeology of Yog-Sothoth, Psychoanalysis of Rilya by August Moldenhauer, and then the second trilogy, Giuseppe Balsamo's Hermeticism of Hastur, Necromancy of Nyarlathotep, and The Alchemy of Azathoth. These are a great collection. Second series, introduction by Moldenhauer, and comes from Pontos Fathom Press. So let's go through the characters that we've got. We've got set up here Bob Jenkins, who starts out in London, and Bob's the salesman. And his story says, according to Bob, the secret to success as a salesman is persistence. People just need to be told what it is that they want repeatedly. Recently, Bob came to the possession of a handful of unusual golden coins, and Bob hopes that the same persistence he so famously advocates will help him to uncover their origins and purpose. His subsequent research taught him that the coins are rare and valuable, but also that some of them are cursed, have curses attached to them. Collectors refuse to touch them, but Bob is sold. He wants to know more. He starts out with a clue and a Winchester rifle. And then we've got Roland Banks starting out in San Francisco. Roland Banks. He is the Fed. Starts out with a Mauser and a secret agency secrets unique asset. Even those who work closely with Roland would never say they knew him well. They knew he was a tireless agent for the Bureau of Investigation with a knack for conspiracies and the occult. So he's kind of like a Fox Moldenhauer kind of guy. They knew he follows every letter of the law, even to his own detriment, and that his own beliefs in the justice and the law is second to none. But they do not know him. They do not know the things he has seen or the doubts that cloud his thoughts. If ever his faith in the system was shaken, they would never know. He says nothing, but he sees everything. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we've got Roland Banks, we've got Bob Jenkins, and then finally Ashcan Pete, the Drifter. And Ashcan Pete starts out in Scandinavia. And quick intro, ever since the onset of his prophetic dreams, Pete has been riding the rails with his old hound Duke. He has seen the best and worst of the world, and he takes both in stride. Lately, it seems like every city he rolls into is suffering. Sometimes a flood, other times a fire. When he closes his eyes, he can hear the heartbroken sounds and cries for help. But when he set foot in Ulu, he saw a city that rebuilt after the fire. Pete reckons that if he can figure out the source of all this carnage, he can help those who need it most. Okay, so you got Ashcan Pete with Duke. I've got their items and backstories here. I'll read their backstories on next turn so we can just get into the action here. Just quickly also, I want to just reshuffle these because I don't remember that I shuffled them. So let's just quickly do the stages here. So we've got green, blue, and yellow. Just shuffle these yellows up. Green, shuffle them up. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. And these can get discarded. And then we'll do 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then these two go at the top. So these can go back in the box. And then we'll shuffle these up for stage 1. They'll be the top. Shuffle these up for stage 2. And then shuffle these up for stage 3. And there's our Mythos deck ready for Shudmel. It also says sit up. Set aside Shudmel special encounter. Place 1 Eldritch token on space 2, 5, 8, and 11 of the Doom track. So the Doom track gets set to 15. And then for Shudmel, we take a number of Eldritch tokens and we place them on 2, 5, 8, and 11 of the Doom track. Then we've also got the, we're also going to grab a Prelude card. So we can shuffle these up, just mix these up here. And pick one of these just off the top. It says, Fall of Man. You emerge from the rubble of your home, the most recent casualties of the latter. You do not feel how you think someone who just lost their home would feel. You survey the wreckage, hardly acknowledging the wailing sirens and screams of the injured drifting on the wind. There must be a reason for all of it. Punishment for humanity's misdeeds. Punishment for humanity's arrogance and pride. You watch a young woman desperately digging the remains of her home, and you wondered if there's anything worth saving. The curtain is falling at the age of men, and you do not possess the means to stop it. Deep down, you're not even sure that you should. After resolving setup, place 1 Eldritch token on the green space of the Omen track. Okay. And then when we return to the green space, we resolve a disaster. Okay, so this is just an extra. So we just got this Fall of Man. So basically, our house has just been destroyed, right? So this is kind of a fantastic setting to this. So it's kind of like the world's falling apart, right? And we've got these disaster tokens here. We do have our investigator card is actually set on San Francisco, so we can start out with that. So our investigation, our expedition is in San Francisco. So let's jump right into turn 1. So we'll start out with our leader, who's going to be Salesman Bob Jenkins. So we'll move his tokens onto the board, and let's start out with Bob in London. He has an action. It says he may trade any number of items or trinkets for another investigator. When you perform and acquire assets, one thing I need to do is I need to spawn 2 clues. So clue 1 will be on 16, and clue 2, this one we have to discard because it's for the other sideboard. Clue 2 is on Alexandria. Spawn another one that's in the other sideboard as well. City of Elder Things, other sideboard. We'll get one. Plateau of Lang. We'll get one. 5. Okay, clue here. All right, so it looks like we've got some things to do. So why don't we give Bob Jenkins, let's have him get prepared. He'll grab a boat ticket and a reroll, and he's going to stay in London to do to try to spawn a clue token right there in London. He's got a clue already, and he can trade items to possess another item. Right, so let's just start out with Yeah, he could go and get, yeah, maybe instead of getting this trinket, he can, so he has a minimum of 1 for his items. So let's see if he can get an item. So he will roll to acquire his assets. So he's in London. He's going to try require something. He has a minimum of 1. So no matter what he gets, he has a 1 point. And he gets 3. And I think he'll take the Silver Twilight Host. When you gain this card, immediately recover 3. Oh. No, he's not going to get that one. He'll get the Grizzly Totem. He gains +1 strength and +1 will. Once per round, he may reroll 1 dice when resolving a test. The Grizzly Totem, magical item. So there's his first asset Bob Jenkins picks up in London. Okay, so that's his move. Let's go on to Roland Banks, the Fed. He can set aside any number of service assets from the reserve. He may gain 1 service asset I set aside. So let's check out service assets from the reserve. He can gain the Silver Twilight Host. He can gain the Private Flight. And there's a mission briefing here too. So maybe he will just go ahead and gain the flight. So yeah, he's going to set this one aside, and then he's going to gain it. So he gains the Private Flight instead of spawning a clue. And that will, and we can replace that service item. So that will be his action phase. And also let's give him, so he did that 1 action. Let's also give him I'll give him a train ticket. So he can acquire a train ticket, and then he'll do an encounter with the expedition that's in San Francisco. And then finally, Ashcan Pete. Let's have Ashcan Pete move. He'll also grab a train ticket. I think he can just get train tickets, right? Move 1 space along the train path, then perform an additional action. So he can. So he doesn't have to acquire train tickets. Okay, he can also get stuff from the trash. So, well, he's going to just stop and get this ticket, but I will give him a reroll. Let's give him a focus token so he can reroll. And yeah, so that'll be that. So let's get right into we've completed our action phase. Let's get into our encounter phase now. So again, we're going to start out with Bob Jenkins, but while we're on Bob, let's also read his backstory. So Bob Jenkins' backstory says, doing business. You attempt to learn anything you can about the coins. Careful not to let it become an obsession. Once per round, when you gain an asset with printed value equal or greater than the number of Eldritch tokens on this card, place 1 Eldritch token on this card. Then if there are 5 Eldritch tokens on this card, discard this card and get the jackpot reward. Okay, so he's already gained once per round, when you gain an asset with printed value equal to or greater than the number of Eldritch tokens. So there's 0 Eldritch tokens on this card. He gains 1 Eldritch token on the card. So he gained 1 asset and he gains 1 Eldritch token. Okay, so he's already there. At the end of the action phase, if you have 2 or more deal conditions, you can discard this card and gain the greed consequence. Okay, so he's got, so he can acquire assets. That's basically it. Okay, so let's have him do the expedition encounter. And by the way, this is an expedition encounter from Cities in Ruin. So San Francisco, due to city ordinance, the Old Fellows Cemetery is obliged to move its bodies to a new location. You try to warn the authorities about cults that would take advantage of the situation to steal corpses. Yikes. Okay, so he gets +1 only to his strength and his will. So unfortunately, he has to roll an influence, and he has 1 chance to do it here. So let's have him roll it. Oh, and he gets it, so he passes. You resolve training to watch for occult activity. Improve your observation. So he gets to improve his observation, which is cool. He gets an observation improvement token. When the cult arrives to steal the cadavers, you attack their leader. Okay, so now he can roll a strength check. He's got a strength of 3. He gets a +1 strength of 3 with a roll. So from his grizzly totem. So that brings him to 4. So he can resolve. So the cult arrives to steal the cadavers. Jeez, this is grim. Cadavers in San Francisco. What an encounter. Okay, fail. If you fail, you're badly hurt, you lose 2 health. Okay, he fails, he loses 2 health. He did not get a reroll, so he's just going to lose 2 health. And that's that. So put this in, take 1 back. Okay, so that's the expedition encounter. And we will move the token now to London for the next turn. So next up is Roland Banks. Oh, what did I do? Oh. I used the wrong guy. So actually it was, it's Roland Banks who loses 2. Roland Banks loses 2. He went first, it's okay. Everything's going to be all right. We'll just switch this for this and double check his strength roll. His observation was 4, so he gains the observation. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, so Roland Banks was the guy. I just put it on the wrong card. Next up, it's Bob Jenkins. Bob Jenkins is actually, he's going to do a London encounter because that just came. So let's have him do his London encounter. And Bob Jenkins. London. The Thames is flooding and Westminster Hall needs help saving documents from the floodwaters. So again, he's going to roll strength. It's another strength test. And while we're here, let's read Roland Banks's. The truth is out there. Dead ends never bothered you much. Temporary setbacks, nothing more. Every empty room, every missing item, every perp who refuses to talk. Whenever you gain a clue during a research encounter, place 1 Eldritch token on the card. Okay, when he gains a clue, he gets an Eldritch token. That's Roland Banks. And we've already got doing business for Bob Jenkins. Okay, so Bob Jenkins in London, he has going to roll a strength of 3, +1 is 4, and he fails. Bob Jenkins fails. If you fail, the powerful currents carrying you downstream and lose 1 health. So he was doomed to lose health anyway. So he loses 1 health and fails his London encounter. Okay, so then we're going to go on to finally Ashcan Pete. Ashcan Pete has moved to this clue, so he'll do a research encounter. Again, it's a Cities in Ruin research encounter, and he is in a city. So let's get to it. You hear a weak cry for help as you pass a collapsed building and try to find the victim. Okay, so he passes a collapsed building. He's trying to find the victim. He passes. If you pass, you find someone trapped beneath a fallen pillar. Gain 1 random ally from the deck. Okay, so he rescues, there's a collapsed building, he rescues someone, and he's going to gain a ally from the deck. So let's just gain that ally. Right, it's an ally, correct? Ally asset. And he gains Professor Morgan. When you gain this card from the deck, gain 2 task unique assets, then discard 1 of them. Okay, so he gets to get 2 task unique assets, and he will discard 1 of them. So task 1 and task 2. So let's find some tasks. Just flip through the deck here. Looking for tasks. So he's got Wave of Destruction and Seeking the Master. 2 tasks that we've got for him. So he can pick one of these 2. So let's see. He has when you pass a test, a lore test, you resolve a spell effect, you may spend 1 health to place 1 health on this card, then flip the card. Or when you perform an acquire asset, you may spend 2 or more of this and place an equal number of Eldritch tokens on the card. If you do, flip the card. Okay, Seeking the Master. Let's keep Seeking the Master. We'll discard the other one. We'll make a discard pile over here for these. And that's going to wrap up. I guess we acquired the clue, that means, right? We acquired the clue. Oh, what did I do? Yeah. It doesn't say we gained the clue. It doesn't say gain the clue, though. So I guess we have to try to get the clue again. I don't know. Let me know if I did that wrong. So yeah, the card doesn't technically say we gained the clue. So I won't assume it. So maybe he'll try to encounter that clue again. And let's move on from the encounters phase. Let's move into the Mythos phase. So we'll grab our first Mythos card. And it says, burn it all down. Scary. Okay, so first off, we'll go from the top down. We've got the Advance the Omen. So Advance the Omen 1. Oh, by the way, we need to spawn a gate here. So Istanbul will have a gate and a monster just from the start. Just from starting round. So we'll spawn a second gate here, but this was from the setup. Istanbul has a gate. And there's a vampire on the gate. Okay, so first of all, we advance the Omen. There is no Omen with blue. We can resolve a Reckoning. So any Reckoning cards, Reckoning, Vampire, no Reckoning, nothing bad, no Reckoning, Shudmel Reckoning. It says, Shudmel slumbers deep beneath the lost African city of Garn. The ripples of tumultuous dreams bring ruin upon the world. Wow, Reckoning. Each investigator loses a total of 2 health and or sanity. Yikes. Okay, so 1 in 1, 1 in 1, and 1 in 1. So we'll put these in the trash here. So they lose a health and a sanity each. That's not good. Okay, and finally spawn a gate. So we spawn a gate. Heart of Africa. Place a monster on it. We get a sand dweller. Okay, so let's read the description. Burn it all down. All it took was some gasoline. All it took was some gasoline, a match, and the right warding symbol. Oh, all it took was some gasoline, a match, and the right warding symbol to keep the thing trapped in the garage. People watched the fire rage unchecked all night, and afterwards, the grateful police found no reason to pursue the matter any further. The lead investigator chooses 1 monster on any space. That monster loses 3 health. So the lead investigator chooses any monster on the space. That monster leaves 3 health. That's this vampire, dead already. So we will discard the vampire. That was a pretty tame, as you can see by the color, very tame Mythos card. So we don't need to advance Doom. So we don't advance the Doom track. We're still on 15. And that's going to wrap it up for turn 1. Kind of a long turn 1, but good. We got everything resolved. We've read all of our individual encounters and missions. We've got our Fall of Man card set up with this Eldritch token, and we'll see you on turn number 2. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.